Good morning, everybody. This is my lecture 36, my lecture series number 36. Again, nandito ako sa bahay ni Judge Marlo. Hindi ko asawa yan. Asawa niya yung nasa picture. At any rate, palapit ng palapit na yung bar. Dapat magseryoso na kayo. Ang tip ko is wag na kayo dapat natutulog. 22 hours kayo magbasa, 2 oras lang ang tulog. Okay, magkakasakit. Of course, as I've said, in my subject only, ha, I don't know with the other subjects. Do not rely on my review. Ang review is parang trailer lang yan sa isang pelikula. Sa isang pelikula, nagkaroon ka ng trailer, alam mo na ba yung istorya? More or less, alam mo na yung istorya. Pero mas marami kang hindi alam. But again, I'm just saying this in regard my subject. I don't know with the other subjects. So let's go back. We are in the meat of labor, which is illegal dismissal. Considering na hindi ko naman talaga mako-cover lahat, I'd like to tell you na I'll just give you examples. Examples in the event of a question na hindi nyo nabasa yung batas, hindi nyo nabasa yung jurisprudence, hindi nyo nabasa yung stare decisis, then you just rely on Article 3. Ano yung sinabi natin sa Article 3? Dapat alam nyo na yan. Dapat hindi ko na isipin, uulitin sa inyo. Or, you rely on yung pinag-usapan natin, what are the grounds for sustaining an employee's illegal dismissal, yung security tenure, yung proportionality doctrine, inimical to the interest, and so on and so forth. But yung final resort, kung talagang wala na talagang may vacuum, di ba? Wala kayong narinig na lecture sa akin, hindi nyo nabasa, then again, anybody would tell you, any professor, any dean, any reviewer who misrepresent himself or represent himself, whether the representation is true or not, that he is knowledgeable about the bar exam, ang sasabihin sa inyo, use common sense. And totoo naman yan. Bakit? Kasi, well, lahat ng hugot tungkol sa batas nanggagaling sa common sense. But I'd like just to give you an example kung how common sense works, di ba? Kasi hindi ko naman mako-cover talaga lahat ng instances na about Article 297, which is the ground for dismissal. I cannot cover it, maski na mag-lecture ako sa inyo ng 2 linggo. But take intoxication as an example. How do you deal intoxication? Yung pag-inom ng alak, yung paglalasing. So, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? Well, as a general rule, intoxication of an employee which interferes with his work constitutes serious misconduct. O, saan galing yon? Meron ba akong binasa sa inyong Supreme Court decision? Wala. Kasi common sense, kung yung pag-inom mo nakakaapekto sa iyong pagtatrabaho, well, definitely, problema yan. It can be ground for dismissal. It can be treated as serious misconduct. Diba? Logic, reason. Diba? It is well settled. And merong pinaghuhugutan yan based on stare decisis, yung Sanyo Travel Corporation case. It is a well settled rule by jurisdiction that serious misconduct in the form of drunkenness is a ground for dismissal. Pero actually, come to think of it, hindi naman kailangan magkaroon na ng Supreme Court decision doon. Kasi syempre, lasing ka, imbis na nakapatrabaho ka ng maigi, hindi mo nagagawa yung trabaho mo, it is a ground for dismissal. You need not have a Supreme Court justice declare that. But, nagkakaroon lang ng mga nuances eh. Nagkakaroon lang ng mga nuances like ano yung mga considerations sa pag-deal nyo sa intoxication, di ba? Ang mga considerations diyan yung nature of job or nature of the employment, yung the surrounding circumstances, and even the position of the employee. Yung nature of job, obvious naman kung halimbawang driver ka o piloto ka o kapitan ka ng barko, talaga yung pag-inom ng alak. Intoxication is a ground for dismissal. 'Di ba? Walang dispute doon eh. Pero yung mga ganong kasimpleng tanong, siguro hindi naman itatanong sa bar yan kasi sobrang obvious. Pero kung halimbawang ang tanong, merong isang manager nag merong pusa dito. Ano ba 'tong pusa na 'to? Merong isang manager nag-report ng lasing, 'di ba? Ah, and dumating siya doon ng nakainom, nakikita ng mga employees, nakita ng secretary, nakita ng gwardiya, nakita ng kung sino man nandoon sa loob, pati mga customer. Okay. Pwede niya bang sabihin, well, alam mo, may alcoholism, may intoxication does not in any way affect my job. In fact, pwede niya sabihin, alam niyo, ako nga pag kainom ako, magaling pa nga akong gawin yung aking trabaho. 'Di ba? Just like a prolific writer, Edgar Allan Poe, sino pa yung isa si Hemingway, pag nakainom yan, but yung dignity ng position niya, he's a manager, 'di ba? Especially kung merong silang mga rules about against intoxication and then he is setting a bad example, then it can be a ground for termination. He cannot say na my intoxication does not interfere in my work because again, as I've stated a while ago, one consideration in dealing with intoxication is the dignity of the position. Oh, pwedeng intoxication does not interfere in your work, but you're setting a bad example, just like my teachers sa law school, diba na pag talagang pumasok sa eskwela, talagang amoy chiko, pulang-pula, diba? But they're telling us, mas nakakapagturo kami pag ito sa office ng dean where in the school ay kami palagi may single malt doon eh. 'Di ba? Pero iba kasi yung surrounding circumstances in a law school. 'Di ba? Talagang drinking, well, not too much drinking is a casual thing. 'Di ba? Pero hindi yung kalimbawang manager ka ng kumpanya, papasok ka lasing. 'Di ba? So magkakaroon ng problema 'yan. So, another example, yung position or yung nature or yung task. Iba kung halimbawang security guard ka, 'di ba? Kaysa yung secretary ka lang o clerk ka lang, 'di ba na o warehouseman ka lang. Yung warehouseman baka kung ang trabaho mo is parang security guard, yun, magkakaproblema. But kung babalik tayo sa security guard, yung intoxication is serious misconduct in the sense na lahat ng security company ay may policy against drinking while on duty. So, ano ang magiging consequence niyan kung halimbawang merong ganitong policy? So, alamin nyo, does it interfere or does it not interfere? Ano nyo yan? I-disregard nyo yan. Kasi kung merong policy, ang magiging charge dun sa tao ay hindi intoxication kung hindi insubordination. disobedience to a lawful order. Di ba? Kung halimbawang ah, merong policy na bawal uminom, o palagay mo security guard, merong policy na bawal matulog, sleeping on the job. So, hindi maybe, talagang, again, uh, these are issues, this calls for your common sense. So, anon. And then, papasok na naman dito yung diniscuss natin dati, yung proportionality doctrine. Ano yung proportionality doctrine? Di ba? Ah, kung yung tagal ng trabaho, walang regulatory record, wala namang damage sa kumpanya. So, pwede nyo sabihin, if you want to side with the employee, pwede nyo i-invoke yung proportionality doctrine. Pero kung gusto nyo namang to side with the employer, and then, i-determine nyo nga yung mga pinag-usapan natin kanina, yung interference with the work, yung dignity of the position, and yung kung merong policy, then that becomes insubordination. So, in both cases, whether you side with the employer or you side with the employee, I'm sure na bibigyan kayo ng credit. Kung maganda, especially kung maganda yung pagkaka-articulate nyo at maganda yung pagkaka-discuss nyo, magkakaroon kayo ng credit yan. So, yung sleeping on the job, again, para sa mga security guard, talagang that's a total taboo. Oh, pero kung halimbawang driver, nagmamaneho ka, sa SLEX bigla kang inantok, ba? Pumarada ka sa isang Petron gas station. Biglang dumating yung supervisor mo. Pwede ka bang i-charge ng sleeping on the job? Diba? Again, common sense. Oo nga, sleeping on the job may be contrary to policy, o merong employees manual na hindi kayo pwedeng matulog. Pero alam mo 'yon, 'di ba, pag driver ka, ang rule is that pag inaantok ka talagang matulog ka. 'Di ba? Well, pwede sigurong i-penalize ka but not to dismiss you. Kasi kung talagang the situation uh, leads you to that eventual condition na hindi mo na kayang mag-drive, especially kung halimbawang ang nag-overtime ka, just like the case of a secretary na, nakita nung boss niya na natutulog, 'di ba? Pero pag tinignan mo naman, bakit inaantok yung secretary? Kasi overtime sila ng overtime, 'di ba? Again, apply common sense. Pag in-apply niyo yung common sense, if sleeping invigorates a driver or a secretary, dahil sobrang pagod sila, sobrang overfatigue sila, and the sleeping will somehow give them a second mile. So, hindi naman pwedeng maging grounds for dismissal 'yan. So, another common sense issue, like yung eating in the place of work, 'di ba? Yung bawal kumain doon sa lugar na pagtatrabahuan. So, common sense, maski na merong policy na yung ang nakalagay yung policy is okay, bawal kumain sa place of work, sa table nyo, pumunta kayo doon sa cafeteria, sa canteen o kung saan man. 'Di ba? Sa pantry, doon kayo kumain. O, merong employees manual ng ganon. Pero common sense naman, pag in-apply mo yung common sense, ano ba naman yung kumain ng sandwich, nagkape do sa table niya, 'di ba? Even if there's an employee's manual on that, can you charge the person insubordination or disobedience to a lawful order? Doon nagkakaroon ng problema kasi kung halimbawang masyadong harsh yung penalty doon sa employee's manual. Kung masyadong harsh yung penalty sa employee's manual, you cannot charge the the employee of insubordination or disobedience of a lawful order and then dismiss him kung halimbawa masyadong harsh ang penalty. Kumain lang naman, ano ba yung damage? 'Di ba? Eh siguro pwede i-reprimand mo. Ngayon, for eating at the place of work to be a ground to charge the employee for insubordination, pwede yan ko siguro kung mga 5 beses niya nang ginawa yan. Nagiging incorrigible na ano na siya, mayroong habituality na. Talagang nananadya na yan. Yung disobedience to a lawful order, as we have already discussed, kailangan kasi mayroong mental perversity. Di ba? Kung halimbawang wala namang mental perversity, again, the short and long of it is that you can apply common sense kung if repeated eating on the job, kung on the place of work, if repeated with impunity, can be treated as a disobedience to a lawful order. In fact, there is one case na nagkaroon ng ang ruling ng Supreme Court is that ang pinag-uusapan dito yung eating in the place of work. Pero sabi ng Supreme Court, merong mental perversity kasi talagang yung secretary na nagba-violate ng rule about eating in the place of work, talagang sobrang pasaway. In fact, nire-remind siya nung manager niya na magagalit si president diyan sa ginagawa mo. Ang sagot niya, bahala siya. Wala akong pakialam sa kanya. Hayaan mo siya. Hindi ko ano yan, hindi ko susundin yan. So, yung mental perversity is actually not only taken o hindi lang pinaghuhugutan yung sa act of eating at the place of work, kung hindi yung 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 after yung after actions niya, yung mga post actions niya. So, another common sense issue, yung urinating in the workplace. Saan umihi, 'di ba? Is it against the rule or against the wall? In one case, yung urinating in a workplace other than the one designated for the purpose by the employer constitute violation of reasonable regulations intended to promote a healthy environment. So, ito, again, common sense lang, bawal umihi dyan sa lugar na yan, umihi ka dyan. Kasi, alam mo, di ba, it spreads bacteria, it spreads germs, nagkakasakit. Parang sabi mo, umihi lang naman ako. Di ba? O, pwede nyo namang i-treat na yung pag-ihi, wala namang damage sa kumpanya, especially kung halimbawa yung pinag-ihian niya, yung dulo naman ng factory o dulo naman ng parking lot. 'Di ba? Pero kung halimbawa yung pag-ihi is palagi siyang umiihi doon sa malapit doon sa mga pinagtatrabahuan, then it becomes a health issue. So again, common sense yan. Study the facts, and then be a lawyer, discuss, argue. So you need not read Supreme Court decisions on that. You need not read Supreme Court decisions in that. Galingan nyo lang argument nyo. Huwag kayong matakot na parang kulang yung basa nyo, kulang yung review nyo. In labor law, ganun lang yan. Oo. Another example, common sense issues din yung customer complaint, 'di ba? May mga may mga customer na talagang reklamador, yung mga maaangas, yung mga they feel entitled, 'di ba? O ngayon, o sige, tatanong ko kayo, mag-isip kayo ngayon. I'll give you 5 seconds. Halimbawa, is a customer complaint, can it be treated as a ground for dismissal? 'Di ba? Again, may mga customer na talagang sobrang ungas, mga entitled, lalo na yung mga kung saan yung mga galing sa baba, biglang umangat. Mas mababait pa nga yung mga talagang nasa taas na eh. Pero ang masasama, yung mga galing sa laylayan ng lipunan, biglang tumama sa loto, di ba? Biglang nagkaroon ng Rolex, Mercedes-Benz, iba na dating yan. Ngayon, isipin nyo, I mean, mental exercise. How are you going to argue? Oh, well, in every business, maski na customer is always king. This has been the slogan of so many companies. A customer complaining because of the actions of an employee constitute an act inimical to the interest of the employer. So, talagang always may policy na avoid customers complaint. Pag halimbawang nireklamo ka ng customer, hindi talaga pwede yan. Hindi mo pwede sabihin, hindi siya kasi talagang maangas yan kasi squatter yan. Hindi ganun. Kasi sa isang business, talagang customers are king. And kung halimbawang nirereklamo ka ng customer, it can be a ground for your dismissal. In one case, in a PLDT case, this is true even if the complainant has nothing, pag nireklamo ka ng customer, it can be treated. Ngayon, kung pwede rin, but analyze the facts, di ba? Alamin nyo, ano ba, baka naman talaga yung customer, baka naman may bipolar, baka naman autistic, baka special child, baka naman mayroong reputation na talagang reklamo lang ng reklamo, baka scammer, ayun yung mga customer na pag makakain sa restaurant, maglalagay ng ipis doon sa ano, so irereklamo ka. Analyze the facts. But as a general rule, customers are king and an employee who is the subject of a customer's complaint is somewhat an employee that is doing something that is inimical to the interest of the of the of the employer. Hindi kasi pwedeng maging laid back masyado ang employer, ang management na okay, okay lang, hayaan mo sila magreklamo, di ba? Bahala sila. Okay, magtrabaho lang kayo. Hindi ganon. The policy is that customers are king. Ngayon, another common sense issue yung borrowing money from a customer, di ba? Employee ka, umuutang ka doon sa customer. Okay. Again, I'll give you 5 seconds. Think about it. Ano yan? How are you doing? Nag-report si customer na boss, manager, president, itong employee mo umutang sa akin. Umuutang sa akin. O paano mo i-deal yan? Diba? 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it ground for dismissal or not? Diba? Again, common sense, kung yung customer has somewhat a moral ascendancy, if the employee has somewhat a moral ascendancy over the customer, in a way that the customer may be threatened because the employee, kung hindi siya pinautang, may not deliver the services expected from him. Halimbawa, ako yung employee, barbero ako, ako yung customer, nagpapagupit sa akin. Di ba? O, so, hindi natin baka mamaya, pag hindi mo pinangutang, hindi gandahan yung gupit sa'yo, pangitan niya, di kaya ahitan ka niya, masugatan ka. Well, that's an exaggeration. But under the situation where an employee is borrowing money from a customer and in a condition where the customer somewhat is threatened that if he didn't lend money to the employee, the services will not be delivered, then that can be that can be a reason for termination. Lalo na kung nag-i-insist siya. Pero kung wala namang ganong sitwasyon, yun, if yung, well, minsan talaga ang mga empleyado wala talagang pera yan, lalo meron silang problema sa pamilya, may sakit yung kamag-anak, walang pambayad tuition fee, gutom yung bata, etc. etc. Minsan nangungutang yan. If the loan is being made in good faith out of a financial difficulty and the employee has no moral ascendancy over the customer, hindi yan nagiging ground for dismissal. So yun, tatapusin na natin to. I think I've spoken so much na I think I've driven the point that you can always use logic, reason, common sense. Diba? I mean, isipin nyo lang, do not fear the bar. Kasi lahat naman yan common sense eh. Pag wala na, common sense na lang. Diba? Okay. Yung last na dapat nating i-discuss yung sa speed, yung sinabi kong mnemonic, yung last is management prerogatives. So, kung gusto nyo namang kumampi sa employer and magkakaroon kayo ng credit, although hindi 100%, but these are motherhood statements, then you can always discuss management prerogative. Magkakaroon kayo ng credit yan. When I was I'm the bar examiner, diba? As long as meron namang doctrine o may principle namang pinaglalaban yung examine, I'll give credit. And in the school where I came from, in the review center where I came from, in Diliman, tinitreat namin yan as mga alternative answers eh. Diba? I mean, the examinee tends to side uh, with the employer, and the reason niya is that he discussed management prerogative. Well, give credit. So, kailangan malaman nyo rin kung ano yung management prerogative. Ano yung magic words? What is management prerogative? What is the concept behind it? The employer is free to run or regulate his business according to his judgment and discretion. Kaya nga may prerogative eh. Save the instances that the law requires for specific conditions of work, the employer is free to do as he please. Another magic words na ewan ko pag nagbasa kayo ng Supreme Court decisions o yung mga yung mga answers, mga suggested answers sa bar exam. Ito yung magic words discussing management prerogative na paulit-ulit. Yung sinasabi, the law in protecting the rights of the employee authorize neither oppression nor self-destruction of the employer. Again, sana makabisado nyo to. The law in protecting the rights of the employees, ang batas, pinoprotektahan ang karapatan ng mga employee, but it does not authorize oppression nor self-destruction of the employer. Bakit? So, I'll tell you the reason. There can be no workers if there are no factories. No employees if there are no companies. It is the right of the employer to manage its business free from the intervention of the state. We are in a democratic country. We're not a fascist government. Under this management prerogative principle, an employer can craft and implement rules and regulations on how to operate or run his affairs, including the right to discipline or dismiss an erring employee. Yun, magic words pa rin eh. The employer in running his affairs has the right to discipline or even dismiss an erring employee. Management prerogatives tallies with the state principles that the law in protecting the employee does not authorize the employer's oppression or distraction. Ang atake sa akin ngayon is that masyado daw akong nagsaside sa mga employer. Management lawyer daw ako. Diba? Talaga naman, hindi naman talaga akong makakaliwa. Maski na nung nagka-college ako, hindi naman talaga ako sumasama sa mga LFS, sa mga progressive groups. Ayaw ng tatay ko eh. Diba? I respect them, KMU and all. Pero, diba? Sa akin, iba naman kasi yung prinsipyo ko. Ang prinsipyo ko, diba? ah, 'pag nagsara yung kumpanya, mas maraming matatanggalan ng trabaho, 'di ba? Kanya-kanya tayong prinsipyo. I respect your opinion, I expect you to respect mine, 'di ba? I protect companies because kung yung kumpanya ma-bankrupt, mas maraming magugutom. 'Di ba, ikaw naman abogado ka, pinoprotektahan mo yung isang empleyado na tinanggal, nasa sa'yo yun. Eh, kung gusto mo protektahan mo siya, poprotektahan ko 'to. Parehas tayong ano, parehas tayong may role sa society. Hindi naman puwedeng lahat tayo pinoprotektahan natin yung mga employee. 'Di ba kailangan may nagpo-protect rin sa employer. Example of management prerogative is transfer, 'di ba? Ah Kailan nagiging constructive dismissal yung transfer? 'Di ba kasi halimbawang, ikaw transfer ka na, dito ka nagtatrabaho Quezon City sa ibang lugar ka na magtatrabaho, 'di ba? Biglang bakbak agad yung employee, "Sir, ayoko magpa-transfer." "Oh, ayaw mo magpa-transfer, insubordination 'yan. Disobedience sa lawful order." So sabihin naman ng employee, gano'n. Okay, sige. Constructive dismissal. Yung transfer is a constructive dismissal. So I give you 5 seconds. Kailan nagiging constructive dismissal yung transfer? Kailan? Medyo ano yan, medyo there's a thin line that separates uh, a valid transfer from a constructive dismissal. So, a transfer can be deemed as a dismissal in disguise. A dismissal in disguise, parang I hate you in disguise. 'Di ba? Parang ah, sarap ng tao, kunyari sweet ako sa'yo, pero pag tayong dalawa na lang, palagi kitang pinapahiya. Girlfriend kita, palagi kitang dinidibate, palagi kitang pinapahiya, palagi kitang iniinsulto. 'Di ba may mga ganong lalaki na pagkaharap yung maraming tao talagang love na love. Pero pag sila-sila na lang palaging binubully yung girlfriend niya, 'di ba? Parehas rin minsan may mga babae din binubully yung boyfriend nila. So, transfer can be deemed a dismissal in disguise. Uh, no express word is coming from the employer saying that the employee is dismissed. 'Di ba? Hindi niya tinatanggal pero sinasabi niya transfer kita sa Mindanao, 'di ba? I-transfer kita sa Hulo. So, kailan 'yan? By the way, ano yung mga example ng constructive dismissal? So, ano lang pasadahan lang natin 'to. But a dismissal in disguise, dismissal can be disguised by the following. Yung indefinite suspension, that's a constructive dismissal. Sinuspindi ka forever and ever. Walang period. Hindi man lang sinabi na suspended ka for 3 days. Basta sinabi suspended ka. Indefinite. Walang period. Because if a suspension has no period, ibig sabihin indefinite. Hindi mo alam kung kailan matataas po yung suspension mo. Hindi mo alam kung kailan ka babalik. So if that's the case, that means that tinatanggal ka na. Oh. Yung another example is that yung changing irregular status into a casual status or a fixed term. Regular ka na, ginawa kang casual. Regular ka na, ginawa kang contractual. So, constructive dismissal yan. Kasi ano ibig sabihin nun? Tatanggalin ka niyan. Hindi ka tinatanggal na sinasabi sa'yo, you're fired or you're dismissed. Pero the fact na dati kang regular, ginagawa kang contractual, pagdating ng finish contract, tanggal ka. So, that's a constructive dismissal. Yung demotion on or discrimination on salaries and benefits. So, that's also constructive dismissal. Yung dinidemote ka ng walang grounds, walang due process, yung binababaan yung salaries mo, yung mga benefits mo. O yun, yung yung not giving an employee work. Diba yung classic example ng constructive dismissal yan eh, yung hindi ka nga tinanggal, pero nilagay ka sa isang kwarto, di ka binibigyan ng trabaho, 8 to 5 nandun ka, wala kang computer, sinabi wag kang magtelepono, di ba? I mean, how can last to stay in a office 9 to 5 sa isang kwarto na wala kang ginagawa? Pag halimbawang umalis ka, mimimuhan ka, pag nakipag-usap, tapos yung mga kasama mo, binigyan ng instructions, huwag kang kausapin. Siguro pwede mo ba sabihin, mas maganda nga to, wala akong trabaho eh. Diba? And you can do that siguro 1 week, 2 weeks, pero kung isang buwan na ganun, walang kumakausap sa'yo, hindi ka binibigyan ng trabaho, well, you're a virtual prisoner, then that is constructive dismissal. And under DO 174, yung floating status, di ba? Under DO 174, I don't know if you had discussed with you. I mean, I recall I have discussed with you very shortly what is DO 174 is sa mga manpower agency. Nasa manpower agency na kung halimbawang tapos na yung in a manpower agency kasi there are three elements, there are three persons, that the employer, the agency, and the employee. So yung employer-employee ay yung employer agency, sila yung may kontrata. Na halimbawa, okay employer, ito agency, ito yung paggagawa ko sa iyo. Tapos ikakaskate niya naman yan do sa employee. Pero ano yan, may fixed term yan. O ngayon kung tapos na yung trabaho na binibigay ni employer, syempre, alangan naman sisweldohan pa ni agency si employee. Diba? So, hindi nyo naman sisweldohan. Sasabihin niya, floating status ka muna. Hahanapan kita ng panibagong trabaho pag nakakuha ko ng ibang employer. So, yung floating status na yon, it must not exceed 6 months. Kasi kung nag-exceed 6 months yan, under DO 174, because yung employee ni agency is not a regular employee of the employer, but a regular employee of the agency. So kung nagkaroon ng termination of employment because of walang trabaho, walang principal, walang employer, floating status yan, but the floating status must not exceed 6 months. Otherwise, nagkakaroon ng constructive dismissal. Non-payment of salary, definitely constructive dismissal yan. But hindi kung ang non-payment of salary is without reason. With reason. Kung halimbawa may rason, hindi talaga kumikita, wala talagang kinikita, walang order, di ba? O hindi ka na, I mean, may mga law offices na ganun na. Walang kliyente, di ba? Kaya hindi nasisweldohan yung mga sekretary. Constructive dismissal ba yan? Constructive dismissal yan. Kung meron kang pang sweldo, ayaw mong sweldohan yung empleyado. Constructive dismissal yan. Pero kung wala kang pang sweldo, ang ano lang yan, ang cause of action lang ng employee dun sa employer na hindi siya sinesweldohan dahil walang pera yung employer, hindi illegal dismissal ang cause of action niya kung di payment of salary lang. Reduction of work days, o halimbawa, 5 araw ang trabaho, ginawa mong yung substantial reduction, tatlong araw lang. E di, paano mabubuhay yung empleyado kung 3 araw lang ang trabaho sa isang linggo, di ba? O kung halimbawang ginawa mo yan, meron naman talagang trabaho, yan, constructive dismissal. Pero katulad ng panahon ng COVID, di ba? Wala naman talagang trabaho. So, mini-maintain na lang ng employer na at least magkaroon kayo ng trabaho maski na 3 araw lang dahil wala talagang trabaho, COVID eh. May pandemic eh. Merong lahat, everybody sa standstill. Kung dati dire-diretso ang order ng customers, kung dati dire-diretso yung pagbili ng customers, dahil may COVID, nagtatago yung mga tao sa bahay nila. So, kumonti lang yung mga order. So, merong reason para i-reduce yung work days. But in case of reduction of 4 days, it must be coordinated with the Department of Labor. Kailangan sasabihin mo sa Department of Labor na, okay, itong mga empleyado ko, babawasan ko ng trabaho. Kasi mayroong reason. And the Department of Labor has the opportunity and the right to validate whether or not your claim for the reduction of workdays is true. Kasi kung wala namang reason for the reduction of workdays or merong reason pero hindi mo kino-ordinate sa Department of Labor, yan, magiging constructive dismissal. Or any other actions that force an employee to resign. Diba? Yung any other actions that forces an employee to resign, yung tinatawag na hostile work environment. Diba? Yung you treat an employee with disdain, ibig sabihin disdain, hindi mo nire-respeto, ini-insulto mo, you insult him, you ridicule him, you scold him without a reason. Diba? So, pero natin yung scolding without a reason. Iba yan yung scolding with the reason. 'Di ba? Pag pinagalitan, pag minura mo ang empleyado, constructive dismissal yan. Pag tinreten mo siya, constructive dismissal yan. Pag sinigawan mo siya, constructive dismissal ba? 5 seconds. Yung galit ka, pinagalitan mo, constructive dismissal. Well, i-determine mo kung bakit nagalit si boss. Diba? Iba kasi yung inusulto, minura mo, pinahiya mo. Iba yon. Pero yung galit ka, sinigawan mo, ako palagi ko sinisigawan yung sekretary ko pag talagang hindi nakakapag-deliver eh. Diba kasi minsan ang dami mong ginagawa, ang daming pressure sa'yo, maraming nang bibuisit sa'yo, yung mga kliyente na kumbaga sa akala nila pag binayaran ka nila, automatic maidi-deliver mo, panalo yung kaso. Samantala sinasabi mo naman na, I will just do my job as a lawyer but I cannot guarantee that I can win the case because I'm not the judge. Pero sila, diba, pag lalo na malaki binahin sa'yo. Pag di mo na-deliver yung kaso, hindi mo yung panalo, magagalit yan. Diba? Hindi ba mga magpaparipan pa? Ngayon, kung halimbawang medyo marami kang deadline, ang dami mong hearing, ang dami mong mga engagement, katulad ko, meron pa akong sideline na din ako ng law school. Pagkatapos, yung simpleng letter, hindi mo mai-type ng tama, nabibwisit ako dyan. Ngayon, kung nasigawan kita, constructive dismissal ba yan? Hindi. Kasi, kinukonsider, kung sinisigawan kita na walang rason, yung pagsigaw ko sa'yo para pahiyain ka, para insultuhin ka, wala ka namang ginagawang mali, pwede maging constructive dismissal. Pero kung hindi mo ginagawang tama yung trabaho mo, the employer has the right to scold you. So again, common sense pa rin. So, in case of constructive dismissal, how do you treat it? Kung halimbawang who has the burden of proof? An employee who claims he was forced to resign must prove his allegation. So, in constructive dismissal, kung sinabing, merong constructive dismissal kasi I was forced to resign. What's the reason for your forced resignation? It's the hostile environment. The employer is treating me with disdain, dishonor, insulting me, physically harming me. So, it cannot just be mere an allegation because an allegation has to be proven. If you're the one alleging it, then you must prove it. Okay, so I breached my limit. Kakat ko muna ulit. See you later.